How have the past few weeks been?
Very hectic. We've had to go into this registration exercise with the rules not very certain, because this is the only registration exercise which we embarked on, and the rules kept changing even in the course of the game. It's a very interesting thing. I haven't heard about any such exercise.
I would want to hear which of the rules change in the middle of the game.
Well, particularly the designation of registration centers.
As in the ones that are taken to schools, senior high schools, the
yes,
polling stations or registration centers.
Because it is a clear requirement that before registration exercise begins, the Electoral Commission, which has the mandate to designate places as registration centers, is required to designate those places and inform the parties at least 21 clear days before the start of the exercise. So this is the only exercise.
So it just jumped at you in the middle of the...
In the middle of the exercise, then they kept changing and introducing new centers for whatever purpose.
I'm going to ask you to give us your own analysis of the registration so far. But first of all, let's talk about the people who manage the electoral body of Ghana. What do you make of Jean Mensah, Professor Asari, Bosman Asari, and Mr. Tete? These three people are the ones who run the elections. What do you make of them?
They are all new people who are not prepared to learn anything. So they just came on the job with some ideas from somewhere, and without regard to precedence or law, decides that they have the power to do whatever they think is right, and then they approach the exercise. So the nation's interests would have been better served if they were a little bit more prepared to learn from the experiences that has been gathered over the years at the commission. They would have done a better job than they are currently doing. Their conduct appears to have dissipated a lot of the confidence the Ghanaian electorate had in our Electoral Commission, unfortunately.
But how do you situate these requests for experience from people against the independence of the Electoral Commission? Because the argument will be made that, well, they are independent, they don't really have to come and ask you for any opinion. And
the Electoral Commission has always been independent. And so if they had conducted themselves independently and had resolved certain problems in a certain way, it is only a matter of, wisdom for their successors to pick from the accumulated knowledge that the commission itself had made, so that they will not be repeating mistakes that had been committed in the past.
But someone like Tete has been in the system all this while. Perhaps he would be a good guide for the three of them, even if the two of them are new. But and again, Jean Mensah has been involved in the electoral process all these years.
They are not. Jean Mensah has never been involved in any electoral process.
The IEA.
IEA was not involved in electoral process. They are involved about commenting on electoral process. They have never.
They have been operating in the electoral space, haven't they?
Operating in the electoral space. All of you have been operating in the electoral space, but managing elections is different from operating from the electoral space. It depends upon where and which angle you are operating from. He has been involved in commenting on electoral issues and at times mobilizing opinions to
You're referring to Bosman. You're referring to Bosman now.
Bosman, Jean Mensah, and all of them. It's only Tete who has been involved in the game for quite some time now, but where you are dealing with about 4 or 5 new persons, Tete alone, I'm not sure, can tilt the balance in any direction.
What were some of the key errors they made in your view, if they made any errors at all?
Relating to the the management of the commission itself, it has the issues, and then relating to this registration, we also have different issues. Relating to managing the commission itself, I think their biggest problem has been the attitude towards IPAC. Because IPAC was the brainchild of the Electoral Commission itself. They knew they were independent, but yet found the need to establish IPAC because they have a mandate to deliver credible elections, and the credibility of elections must come from the way the public perceived the elections. Credibility, your own credibility is not established by what you think. Mm-hmm. It's established about by the assessment of your work by outsiders. Mm. But they seem to be thinking that they have a mandate to deliver credible elections, and it is their idea about what constitutes credible elections that must form the basis of their assessment. Mm. That was wrong. I think that when we talk about credible elections, the elections must be accepted by the people you are serving with the elections as credible. Political parties must see your work as credible. The general population must see your work as credible. So if all these stakeholders don't see your work as credible, and you, in your own opinion, your work is credible, you are not doing credible elections.
But if you flip the coin, another argument against you would be that it is NDC that is saying the process is not credible, and that you want to be heard and your advice must be acted upon at all costs. But you're just advisory, as in IPAC. You can only advise. There should be no obligation on the Electoral Commission to take the advice.
I'm not sure they have been listening to other opinion leaders, because there is no single issue which NDC raised and we found ourselves alone holding that opinion. That's why we are saying that public opinion. When we raise issues about their management of IPAC, there are a lot of, stakeholders who believe that the points we were making were relevant. And so it is not about NDC alone demanding that they should do things in a certain way. But IPAC has now been reduced from a consultative forum into an information delivering forum, and that is not the objective of establishing IPAC. So IPAC is of no use now.
You have been a unit committee member, you've been assembly member, member of parliament, general secretary, both in and out of government. Yes. Since Afarijan left as the head of the Electoral Commission, you can describe what's happening at the EC as unstable. So there's been instability at the Electoral Commission. What do you think is the future of the Electoral Commission like? Well, you listen to NDC people make comments like, well, when we come, we'll remove Jean Mensah. NPP came, Charles Osei was removed. Is the Electoral Commission ever going to be the same?
I doubt it very much. Because, you see, when you have a stable institution and you decide to politicize that institution, then you create serious crisis for the institution itself and for the nation it is serving. That was why some of us felt that even if you have an issue with an independent institution, you try and contribute through your sharing of ideas and other things to strengthen it, rather than descending on that institution and changing the persons involved and so on. So once you set a precedent of changing people anytime you find a problem with the institution, you never know where it will stop. So it's a serious disservice the MPP have done to the nation by seeking to change the composition of the Electoral Commission. Professor Mills was faced with such a challenge when there was hue and cry about the continuous stay in office of the former Chief Justice. But he resisted that temptation and then tried to do whatever he thought was possible to help the judiciary grow. Unfortunately, Nana Addo failed that test and decided to go into changing the composition of the Electoral Commission. And once the precedence has been set and the nation has accepted it, it will be difficult to restrain any other person who decides on something else to change the composition of other independent institutions. And that will amount to a disservice to our democracy.
If NDC wins, are there chances that Jean Mensah and the rest will pack out of the Electoral Commission?
Oh, you don't punish somebody without establishing his or her offense. So I cannot be saying that because Nana Akufo-Addo has changed somebody at the Electoral Commission, you also have to change
even
somebody.
If your supporters are crying for it,
I'm saying that we don't act before you come to find reasons. You find reasons to act. Mm-hmm. But it is unfortunate now that the reasons based upon which the previous commissioners were changed, we still believe that they were not good enough reasons for commissioners to be changed. But it has been now established as a precedent. So it will be easier for subsequent government to also begin to change.
Have you found reasons for these people to be changed?
We are not there yet. When we get
but
there,
considering the distrust,
of course, we will investigate everything that they have done, and if there is sufficient reason for them to be changed, why not? It will be in the service of the nation. Because previously, we were of the opinion that procurement breaches could not be the basis for Electoral Commission members to be changed, or justices of the Superior Court should not be changed based on procurement reasons. But now the courts themselves have established that procurement breaches can be the basis for the change of membership. So if procurement breaches are found to have implicated any other person who has been otherwise protected by the Constitution, that person will have no protection again from being removed.
As I want to ask you this question as a Ghanaian, not as an NDC member, mm-hmm. and considering your history in Ghana's politics and your aspirations to see the country develop, would you kick against any plans to replace the EC boss if NDC wins?
I haven't seen those plans yet. When I see those plans,
regardless of how legitimate the plans are.
I'm saying that if I see those plans, I'll be able to determine whether those plans ought to be supported or kicked against. And at this stage, I haven't seen any such plan yet.
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. So the registration exercise is over.
Yeah.
What would be your general assessment? So if I asked you to give a percentage, what percentage would you give to the registration?
No, I think this is about the empteenth time you are interviewing me, and you have kept asking this question about percentages. I'm not in the business of assigning percentages to performances and so on. So I have never given any percentage. I decide whether something is has been done well or has not been done well. Okay. But getting down to percentages.
Has it been done well?
Well, I would say it has been fair.
Fair?
Yes. From poor you come to fair
and
before
then
you
good.
go to good, and then very good and all that.
So fair means not all that well, but is manageable.
But we will use it like that.
So let's talk about the challenges that you encountered. You've mentioned the shifting of goalposts, as you call it.
Yes.
What other things have you identified as problems with the registration?
Thank you very much. The shifting of goalposts was a major issue, legal issue. Because I've never seen any contest which is ongoing, and in the middle of that contest, the rules keep changing. It is not a good practice at all, and it shouldn't have been encouraged at all. But, of course, this is Ghana, so it was allowed to pass. Then again, you come to the issue in terms of the equipment. See that there was several combinations of equipment that were deployed. different fingerprint scanners, and some were very efficient, some were not so efficient, and so on. And there were several allegations that the distribution of the scanners had some political agenda, where you find out that because the least performing scanners were doing about 50 people a day, whilst the efficient scanners were doing more than 100 people a day, and so on. So all these things came to play.
But were these deliberately deployed, these scanners, were they deliberately deployed to certain areas? Is that something you have?
Well, some of the political parties believe that they were deliberately deployed in that way. I think that they may be true and untrue. It will be difficult for the commission at a national level to determine on the deployment. But as for these scanners, their deployment can be influenced at the district level. So at a particular district level, it depends upon the influence of the key players there. You can find a very slow scanner working in one person's stronghold, and then a very efficient scanner working in another person's stronghold. But the important thing that the Electoral Commission failed to do was to deploy standard equipment everywhere in the country. That was the problem.
But the procurement would have been generic, wouldn't it? So the same equipment you have in Doma should be the same equipment you find in
Sure, but that is all about free and fair elections. If you deploy a Mercedes-Benz to carry one chief at a certain place, and you deploy a Tico to carry another chief, are you saying that you are treating them equally? So that is what it is. If you procure, you are procuring from a particular source, and then that source will be able to give you standard equipment, which will perform in the same way everywhere, because you are dealing with elections which should be free and fair.
As IPAC, were you privy to the contract or the importation of this equipment that we
Not
used?
at all.
You were not told.
You realize when we started asking the questions, the responses that came from the commission were to the effect that the commission did not even see themselves as accountable to the people of Ghana. And then when a member of parliament filed a question demanding the Electoral Commission to come and account for some aspects of the procurement, the response was that they were not accountable to Parliament. You understand? So you see this type of attitude with which the Commission approached its work, is still approaching its work. It is coming from some understanding by the government that they are untouchable. So maybe when that particular government is away, they will be asked to answer very unpleasant questions.
Are you regarding the current Electoral Commission as partisan in favor of the government?
We have said so in several ways before. So it is not now that I'm saying it. We've said so in several ways because...
And their interest is to see a retention of this government in 2020?
Yes, that was the first statement I issued when they came to office. And we still believe that everything that they have done from that point to this day still confirms our initial assertion of why they were
And this is simply because they were appointed by the current president?
Not simply because they were appointed by the current
because
president.
Their party
the way and manner they were appointed and the way and manner they began approaching their work seems to suggest that their agenda is clearly to maintain Nana. As to whether they have the capacity and capability to do so, we are yet to find out as we approach it.
What do you think would be the level of their influence, if indeed that's what they are working on, if they are bent on retaining another, which you are saying?
Yeah.
What is your chance as NDC?
Oh, we are carrying our referee into the ring, as Professor Azuma Nelson once said. If you appreciate the hostility of the referee, you find ways of conducting yourself in such a way that they will be forced to take decisions that otherwise they would not want to take.
Are you not being too unfair to this Electoral Commission? You have demonstrated, you have threatened to occupy the offices of the EC, you have said things in the media, you have called them names, and they're just simply doing their state duty.
Because they don't correct
because
even mistakes that they admit. They keep on repeating those mistakes. So you cannot stop talking about the mistakes because you'll be accused of having spoken too much if the mistakes continue. You have to continue raising those problems. And that's what we are.
So you would simply not let them rest, as in allow them to do their work, because they've delivered.
We are
so
not
far
allowing them to do the wrong things.
Because so far,
so long as they keep doing the wrong things, the debate will continue.
You have kicked against the registration. They are done with the exercise.
Yes.
And many Ghanaians have turned out to vote and
to register.
I beg your pardon. And these people haven't gotten COVID. They haven't died. They finished registering. They've gone home. And in fact, from the statistics we have, we've got more numbers than even the Electoral Commission projected. You were worried about the projections.
It means that their projection was wrong. And their projections have always been wrong.
They projected
you have the figure they got.
They projected 50 million. We are projecting 17.7 million.
It means that the statistical service was right and they were wrong. Because before we approach such an important exercise, what the Commission needs to do and what the Commission has done in the past is to request for data on population from the Ghana Statistical Service. Then the Ghana Statistical Service will tell you, based on their calculations, that the citizens who are 18 years and above amount to this. It is based on that figure, then Electoral Commission will now go and do their projection and then do procurement and other things.
But there has been no census.
We wrote, by Electoral Commission, why? Electoral Commission to what have they been working with?
Now, how do you go to the statistical service when there's not been census? So what data would the statistical
The statistical service does the population census first and establish the rate of growth of population. And based on the rate of growth of population, they are able to calculate the population size every year.
Okay.
You understand?
So these projections, what they should have finished the EC?
Those are the projections that the EC goes for before they are able to determine the number of people who are qualified to register. So we insisted that the EC should go for the population figures. They refused and insisted that they are projecting to register, I think 15 point something, whatever.
Yeah, 15 million. Yeah.
15 million. We said, look, Statistical Service has projected a number which is above 17 million, very close to 18 million. So go for that and make your projections and you'll be right. How do they end? They are ending at around 17 million.
17.7.
17.7. Statistical Service projected close to 17.9. So it tells you that Statistical Service was more accurate than you. So if you set your standards low, like pass mark, if you go and set your pass mark at 30%, and you get 40%, it doesn't make you.
You have done well, but you haven't done anything.
Done well. You understand?
You have passed, but you haven't done anything.
So that is what Electoral Commission has been doing. When they were going in for the limited registration, first phase of limited registration last 2 years, they set themselves 100,000 mark. They were able to achieve only 40,000 because of the challenges they went into. And we told them that this thing will lead to a low turnout. They got 40,000. So from there, they learned their lessons and decided that anytime they are going into an exercise which they know could fail, they will set the targets low so that whatever effort they do to just overshoot the targets, they will congratulate themselves as having achieved 100% thereabouts. So that was what they did for the second phase of the limited registration. They established 300,000. We said, tell us the basis, they will not. Then they moved to 500,000. In the end, they got 1.2 million when the statistical service figure was set at 1.7 million, and still they were congratulating themselves for having done a good job.
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is Asiedu Nketia, aka General Mosquito, General Secretary of the NDC. We are discussing the registration exercise, but a critical thing that came up during this registration exercise is vigilantism. I thought they signed some document, political parties. We'll talk about that shortly.
This is the beating heart of an African ready for what is next. And this is the sound of a Ghanaian drum setting the pace. Together, it creates a seamless rhythm of what is and what is to come. A sense of purpose which says that there is more to the Ghanaian than a dream. Ghana always stands ready, and First National Bank is happy to invest, partner, and help Ghana to discover more. This is why we are happy to announce our acquisition and subsequent merger with GHL Bank, Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing. A merger which delivers an opportunity to discover more growth and prosperity for all Ghanaians. Shh. Listen to the heart beat to the rhythm of the drums. It is time for Ghanaians to discover more together. First National Bank and GHL Bank come together as First National Bank. How can we help you?
They have arrested people, though. The police in Kasua, they arrested people. They took them to court. The court granted them bail. So you cannot really say that the police are deliberately, not enforcing the law.
The person who actually was shooting, has he been arrested? The lady?
Yes, she went to the police
The
station.
member of parliament?
Yes, she went.
So what has happened to her?
The police are investigating.
Are you aware that the regional commander has been transferred?
No, tell me more.
That is the point. You see, and then the commander at Bandatru has received his transfer letter. So
whenever regional commander's transfer is related to the arrest or the invitation to the member of parliament,
is it not interesting to see that wherever there is criminality associated with people within MPP, then the people who actually instigated the arrest are transferred from the place to some other place, and it is a pattern
or sheer coincidence.
How can then the incidence is too glaring? The coincidence is too glaring.
Yeah,
there is everything that suggests that there is state and official complicity in all the things that are happening. Because you see, we in Brown intercepted a audio recording from the member of parliament of Techimai North, and also the deputy minister also of Brown East, addressing the Delta forces before their deployment. And everything that was said on the tape came to play out 100% on the battlefield. On the registration field.
Who is this person?
He's the MP for Techimai North. The name has just escaped me. MP for Techimai North and the Deputy Minister for Bono East. He was caught on tape, telling everybody that the police that are going to be deployed are on their side. The presiding officers that are going to be involved in the registration are on their side. He was actually giving instructions that when they go to the field and there is a need to kill, they should kill. And after any such killing, they should rush to do a press conference blaming NDC for the killing. And it has played out completely in everything. That
you obtained this audio. Did you report to the
police?
Yes,
it has been reported. The police rather arrested the media people who aired the tape.
In BA?
Yes. You see, that's why I'm saying that some of this, we are not in normal terms.
Do you feel cornered as the NDC?
Cornered by what?
By the circumstances you're just mentioning.
No, we will win. These are challenges, but we will override them and win the elections.
We saw you in a video. Who are you talking to on the phone? On that, was it a breach?
I was talking to the police, the police commander, regional police commander, and also talking to the major who was leading the detachment of the army in Banda.
So this is Bono East?
No, that is Bono proper.
Okay.
Because I had gone there for observation, following up on the reports of this intimidation of Evers and Adans, who are fishermen along the lake and who were being fiscally prevented not only by the Delta forces, but with the active involvement of the military that has been deployed there. So when we got these reports and I went there, my first point of call was to talk to the commander at the base. And he denied every allegation that I was following up on. This denial was made in the presence of cameras, UTV cameras, TV3 cameras. He denied flatly that nothing of that sort was happening, and he indicated that the military are there not involved in the registration process at all, so they are only called in when there is conflict, then they will maintain the peace. So after we held that discussions with him, myself, the member of parliament, Honorable Ahmed, and then the former regional minister, who is now the regional chairman of our party, Honorable Kwadwo Chemafu. Then we stood at the registration center where we met the commander. He said, you can watch things for yourself. For about 15 minutes, everything was moving very slowly. So we're tempted to believe in what she had told us. Then we left the place and decided to go to the landing site where the settlers along the lake, because they don't have registration centers, they all join outboard motors and come to Bongasi and Akanyakrom to register. And there were stories that some of the military people had gone there to threaten them, and on one occasion they kept the fishermen on the boat for more than 2 hours, sitting on the boat, and will not be allowed to. Yes, they will not allowed to disembark. So we said, this is what the commander is telling us. So let's follow up on those reports. So when we went there, lo and behold, they had disembarked. But they were all there, about 2,000 plus people. When we addressed them and told them that the military says that they have no hand in the registration, so you can go, and they say, no, the people are lying. They came here, this was what they did to us, and so on. That tape too was shown. Then we left there and said, well, let us test whether they are lying or they are speaking the truth, because we have come to ensure that everybody registers. So we asked them to find ways of going to the registration center. Then after we had left, they got onto some vehicles heading towards the registration center.
These are the registrants.
The registrants. And we were going back to see the commander to tell him that the stories he told us, the personal testimonies that were coming from those registrants, seems to contradict what
he
told
said.
us. So halfway between the place and where the commander was, we had calls that the military had come to block the road physically now. So we should come and see. So we invited the press and said, let us rise there to capture the pictures. So with the pictures, we can now go to confront the commander. So we came there and we met these people in Kia trucks and other things. So we got down from our vehicle to try to find out what was happening. They said they wouldn't allow them. They were Togolese and all that. So I picked my phone and I was calling the major that everything you had told me this morning was a lie.
Do you remember his name?
I have it on my records, but I can't remember. So everything you told me was a lie, and that here we are at this spot. Can you come and see what your boys are doing? Either your boys are doing something different from your command, or you lied to us.
Did these boys talk to you, these soldiers?
Yes, I asked them. They said they were Togolese, they were foreign, the people who were coming to register, they were speaking every, so they were Togolese, so they won't allow them.
How close was this place to Togo?
No, we are getting close to Cote d'Ivoire border. It's nowhere near Togo.
So this is the western part of Ghana, not the eastern part.
Ghana.
So why were they mentioning Togo?
So the language ever is Togolese. That's all. That's all. So we called the commander and he came and saw the action. So he was confused because he had lied to us clearly. You know, it was based upon that he allowed, he ordered for the roadblock to be removed, whereupon they went to the registration center.
Why did these people have to be in a Kia truck? Anyone who sees that would say it's true. NDC has gone to bring in people from Togo to come and register.
Is there any law that says that Kia trucks should not carry people to register?
I don't think Kia trucks I don't think Kia trucks are designed for carrying passengers. But
the Kia
if NDC is involved in a Kia truck carrying passengers, that amounts to
why are you implying that NDC must be involved before people get on a truck to move to a registration center?
Because the NDC General Secretary was seen in that video. The presumption would be that the NDC General Secretary...
Please, as I have narrated, you see, the landing beach is for selling of fish and other things. It is not a normal place for normal passenger vehicles to convey people.
Okay.
So the only way they move from the beach to the town is through these motokins and Kia trucks.
So there's no registration center in that area?
No, the nearest registration center is where they were moving to.
But is that the electoral area?
Yes, that should be the last registration point, or the closest registration point to where you reside.
But why don't they go individually? Why do they have to be in a truck?
If you had sent your reporters there to ask them, you're asking me a question which ought to be directed to somebody else.
But you were there.
And I'm saying that I didn't see anything wrong with people moving. If we are moving from here to my hometown, and we are in a truck or in a bus, how does it affect our nationality?
Because busing has been...
You guys have not taken the trouble to understand what busing means.
Busing means taking people who are not meant to be in a certain electoral area to the place to come and register.
Busing means evacuating people who are not qualified to register
in an electoral
area.
Yes.
From outside the electoral area to the electoral area for registration.
Yes.
These are people who are moving within the electoral area to go and register. So how does it qualify?
Eventually, did these people get to register? Do you know?
Yes, they did.
We've also seen a video of military people at the registration centers. What explanation did the commander give you for that, for the presence of soldiers at that place?
That's what he was denying the fact that the soldiers are involved in the registration at all until they were exposed. Okay. So he couldn't have given me any explanation. He was saying that they are there to check violent conduct. So they don't get close to registration centers. They are camped there. And when there is violence, they invite them to quell the violence. That was his explanation. And we now discovered that they were doing more than he was claiming they came there to do. Then there was another occasion, after I had left there, 2 or 3 days later, another group of people came in other Kia trucks with Ivorian registration number. So they came to an MPP stronghold called Cabrono. Then apparently they were denied the opportunity to register because clearly these were Ivorians who had been barred from another country to enter. When they were leaving, then the candidate for MPP met them and directed that the truck should return to the registration center and he will make sure they are registered.
Which constituency is this?
The same Banda.
Okay.
So they came back and he intimidated the Electoral Commission officers. He told them and the police everything that they must register them. 66 of them were registered.
Where were your agents? Why didn't they protest?
Our agents were saying our agents were responsible for blocking them in the first place. But they said they have to register. If we want, we have to challenge them.
Yes.
So our agents challenged all the 66. Okay. Then they were clearly speaking a foreign language and all that. Then our agents demanded that the vehicle they had come with the with the Ivorian number must be impounded. Then the police were now arguing that there's no law preventing anybody from traveling to Ghana in a Kia truck. The same police.
Yeah, there's no law preventing a foreign
and
registered.
Then they have been. The borders are closed.
Yeah, but this vehicle could have been here before the borders were closed.
And they told you where they came from. That they had come from Cote d'Ivoire. They mentioned the town.
You NDC, we are told, agreed that there should be soldiers in the Banda.
Can I finish with this? They told them where they came from. So I believe our boys were even threatening to burn down that foreign vehicle. But they were restrained by the party leaders. That you don't solve one crime with another. So they went to make an official complaint with the immigration and made another official complaint with the police. Okay. So it was the following day when the registrants were going back that they were arrested at the border. And the pictures were taken. They asked them to produce their ID cards. They produced the Ivorian card identity and produced the Ghana this thing. It meant that in spite of the challenge, the Electoral Commission people had actually released the ID cards for them to
there was supposed to be a tribunal to hear these things. Did they ever show up?
But the tribunal is supposed to determine whether they should be given the cards.
Yes.
But if the commission people are giving them the card, they have no business appearing there. What are they coming to do?
So they never made an appearance at the tribunal?
What would they come there to do? So they withhold your card and then they ask you to come and appear to justify why your card should be given to you. But if they give you your card and you are going away, what are you coming back to do? So it tells you that this matter must be investigated. And because they were exposed with that arrest, I hear there were people here making an announcement that it is Asiedu Nketia who has gone to Cote d'Ivoire to bring those people. If I had gone to bring them, why should my people be challenging them?
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. Johnson Asiedu Nketia is my guest. When we come back, the elections are 4 months away. Is the NDC ready? The registration is over. The big issue now is the elections. Are they going to be part? Would they win? Why would they win?
Edwon no start ya che. Me ma me bia mo kwa ne chan. adwuma no yen nti mo so me fe dem adwuma ya me wa ha na menye invitation there Guinness for be program bi work course na ye kwa was winyimbo mereba na itu me miamu de etansa another etana wo product no kotia 3 months bi o wade wode babro 1 month bi aso waza wode ba chew nti awusi itu me miamu na ya de ma de no babo ncha 1 month no shin no oye August minya Guinness ne origin 19 crates auto debut minya 14 crates third one minya television fourth one minya mobile money fifth one masana je mobile money nti when you mbo me de agime pa memo munjai when you mbo me no TV no so be no wa bom o ma se sia me market na san akoso because na TV ni na market no yo so na ball ni nti o mo boys no so wonyu agi de wo baba ha na wa bohwe board na when you mbo nsan akwantam.
Welcome back to Face to Face, concluding part of my conversation with Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the NDC. We are 4 months into election 2020. A stalwart and a founding member of your party, Professor Kwame Nahoi, has published a book. It is generating so much controversy. It's almost as if he has thrown sticks into your spokes ahead of the elections.
No, I don't think so. I haven't followed the discussion because of the registration. I don't see how somebody has written his personal account and his personal experience with the founder of our party would generate that amount of controversy. Even if that controversy is raging, I don't see how it comes to affect our elections.
That will to undermine your general united fight or united front, because one of your own is attacking one of your own, and so people will not start taking.
Who says that people don't attack each other in all parties?
But going into elections, that's dangerous.
If it is about issues relating to the party, fine. But if it is about personal issues, I don't see how it comes to affect our campaign at all.
Some analysts think it is not the right time to publish a book on your party founder.
Well, they are entitled to that opinion. I'm of a different opinion.
You think it's fine to publish this book at this time?
I don't know which is the best time for anybody to publish his book, but I'm saying that since the book is not authored or authorized by NDC, it doesn't mean that anybody who is in NDC must have everything he does together with the timing and everything sanctioned by the party. So they are free to do what they choose to do outside the party's main strategy for elections. I don't want to be the policeman in the affairs of everybody within the party, because I cannot be that policeman.
You've introduced a new running mate. I mean, of course, you had to bring a new running mate because you don't have one currently. What is your general plan with this election? Are you going to be having rallies? Are you going to do door-to-door like Mills did? How are you going to do it? Is there something you can share with us?
It will be more of door-to-door and social media, a lot more of social media. And beyond that one is door-to-door, person-to-person. There will be, as we sit now, apart from maybe the possibility of a Zoom rally, you cannot have any big rally. And so rallies for the time being are out.
Would that take away from the elections? Rallies have always been part of our electoral process. What do you think? The absence of rallies in 2020, that would be boring, isn't it? You won't get the opportunity to jab the opposing candidates. Like
well, it comes with pluses and minuses, because it takes away a lot of the cost campaigning, because rallies are very expensive activities. So once they are not part of it, we can spend much more time. The cost of organizing one rally, if that amount, if it is available and is deployed to the branches of the party for them to do house to house, the returns will be bigger than holding a big rally.
Would there be a campaign led by your running mate, a campaign led by your founder, a campaign led by your flag bearer you've done in the past, or this would be all put together in one?
All hands on deck, and we have inaugurated the national campaign team, inaugurated the regional campaign teams. In the course of next week, they will be inaugurating the constituency campaign teams, and the constituency campaign teams will proceed to inaugurate the branch campaign teams. So we would empower the branches to be doing the campaigning house to house in their localities and so on. That is where most of the emphasis will be.
The MPPs.
But we need the leadership at national will be moving to, because our running mate is a new person, so she would have to be introduced to various opinion leaders across the country, and so that one will continue.
Your running mate, the government side says she's responsible for destroying parts of the education or troubling people who were in the education sector. This was going to be a major campaign going to the election. How are you going to protect her from attacks of this nature?
It is not all attacks that you need to respond to. When the attacks are coming from the wrong sides, you don't bother to respond at all, because if policing is happening very well, you see criminals complaining, so you can't say because criminals are complaining you are going to remove your police commander. So politics is about choices, and once you make choices, segments of the population will find themselves at the wrong side of any policy decision. So the important thing is for you to know that your action serves the greater interest of the greater majority of the population, and then you are okay. Whatever happens with that small minority that is complaining, it is something that you cannot avoid. For instance, the running mate, it has a record of reducing drastically teacher absenteeism. Okay. So if teacher absenteeism was reduced drastically, it means that she will find herself on the wrong side of teachers who are engaged in absenteeism. So you can't say that because teachers who are loitering around are making noise, so it means that the effort of reducing teacher absenteeism, which goes to improve educational outcomes, is something that should be blamed on. So it is not a blame, it is actually a praiseworthy activity.
There was a rumor that you were gunning or angling for running mate. Are you disappointed you were not chosen?
Oh, no, there wasn't any such rumor. It was something that I have said. Because people were, when nobody knew the thinking of the flag bearer, people were making suggestions and my name came up. And so people like you had occasion to ask me whether I will accept or deny. I said I will accept.
Okay.
If I mention, I will accept. And that, but I added a caveat that doesn't mean that I'm campaigning for running mate, because it is not an activity you campaign for.
Okay.
It is a choice of somebody. So if the person decides to choose me, I'll do it.
So it's not like you were seriously lobbying for running mate?
I didn't talk to you.
So you're not we didn't get a heart attack?
No. My objective is to ensure that the party wins elections. So whatever it takes to win the elections, I'm on board. And so I indicated that if in the opinion of the leadership of the party, I had to play a particular role to ensure that we win the election, then I will be doing a great disservice to the party by turning that offer down. Okay. So, but if the opinion is something else, I have a major role to play as a General Secretary of the party, and I'll continue.
We are wrapping up. You are the General Secretary of the largest opposition party. In 1 minute, tell Ghanaians why the NDC is a better alternative.
We are a better alternative because we do what the people want. We shepherd the resources of the nation well, and we make sure that we create opportunities for everybody, not opportunities for a few. And you go ask contractors in this country that what is their opinion about NDC in office and MPP in office. You go ask people who are job hunting, those who are involved in recruitment into the security services and so on. You go ask them that what is their opinion about their chances if they are ordinary Ghanaians looking for any opportunity. They will tell you why. And then you go ask Ghanaians about our priorities, because we have indicated that we need, no economy can grow without robust infrastructural development. So infrastructure provides the opportunity for all other social services. So you cannot jump the need for infrastructure and be focusing merely on social services, because the bottom line of infrastructure is social services. You can't do free education and do it well if the educational infrastructure is not there. You cannot provide health care and provide it well when the health infrastructure is not there. So jumping away from infrastructure to be financing things that has infrastructure as a basis, it's like putting the cart before the horse, and that is what NDC intends to do. The flag bearer has announced a massive infrastructure push, about 10 billion in our next government. We have also announced several other initiatives. Slim government, put the money where it is needed.
It was under your tenure that UGAG was formed, Unemployed Graduates Association of Ghana. Surely you shouldn't be trusted with employing people.
Why?
Because you have a history of not employing people, for the unemployed to form an association.
Look at, you see, we have freedom of association. Now this government is even stifling that freedom of association, because if you form an association and you are heard saying the wrong things, you will be in trouble for that. When we claim that we support workers' rights, and yet people have problem seeing workers demonstrating because we are in office, it is because they have the freedom to demonstrate. So that people are not demonstrating not because workers are happy, but because they are scared. It is under us that you have freedom of speech.
You have been
and then
demonstrating.
Everybody will be speaking their minds, civil society, leadership of churches, and so on. You go speak your mind under this government, and if it is against what Akufo-Addo is doing, you will see what happens to you. So we are living under a culture of silence and intimidation. It is not the quiet that you see. It is not representative of peace. It's representative of people who are scared to even speak up. And we think that that is bad governance. You need to organize a society where people are free to express their opinions, and then media is free to do whatever they want to do, so long as it is within the law. If you care to ask some of the people in the media houses, and the night visitations they have, anytime they do a controversial program which is not found to be favorable to the government, these things are there. Media men are being hounded, even within the security. You have, people, non-security people being imposed on the security and preventing the security people from taking the right decisions to protect the people. So everything is wrong. Our security is wrong. Everything is not going well. So the wind of change is here and is blowing, and that's why NDC would have to come to power to rescue this nation.
Thank you so much, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. And now we wait for face-to-face on Citi TV. My guest has been General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. Stay with Citi TV. because we have more exciting programs coming your way, but do make time to watch Face to Face again next week. Thank you.